It is the order of Monday morning, and it is Monday morning. I believe it's the last Monday morning in July. It's been quite a July, or Lontober as we call it around here. Uh, I'm going to talk just briefly this morning about the magic of drama, and it's probably the most common, most recognizable form of ceremonial magic. A play, a movie, a television show, a Punch and Judy show, a show. Shakespeare's Jacques, in As You Like It, says the most cliche of all of the lines. All the world's a stage. All the men and women are merely players. They have their exits and their entrances. And one man in his time plays many parts, his acts being 7 ages. At first, the infant mewing and puking in the nurse's arms, and then the whining schoolboy with his satchel and shining morning face creeping like a snail unwillingly to school. Then the lover sighing like a furnace with a woeful ballad made to his mistress' eyebrow. Then a soldier full of strange oaths and bearded like the pard, jealous in honor, sudden and quick in quarrel, seeking the bubble of reputation even in the cannon's mouth. And then the justice, in fair round belly with good capon lined, with eyes severe and beard of formal cut, full of wise saws and modern instances. And so he plays his part. The 6th age shifts into the lean and slippered pantaloon, with spectacles on nose and pouch on side, his youthful hose well saved, a world too wide for his shrunk shank, and his big manly voice turning again toward childish treble pipes and whistles in his sound. Last scene of all, that ends this strange, eventful history, his second childishness and mere oblivion. Sans teeth, sans eyes, sans taste, sans everything. Wow, who the fuck was Shakespeare? Those are the words of a god. Okay, that's more than poetry. That's wow. Okay. Speaking of gods, Alan Watts. Here's what Alan Watts says. In Jewish, Christian, and Islamic religions, we think of God not only as a monarch, but as the maker of the world. And as a result of that, we look upon the world as an artifact, a sort of machine created by a great engineer. There's a different conception in India, where the world is not seen as an artifact, but as a drama. And therefore, God is not the maker and architect of the universe, but the actor of it all. and is playing all the parts at once. And this connects up with the idea that each one of us as persons, because a person is a mask from the Latin persona, the mask worn by the actors in the Greek Roman drama. Wow. Now, in another one of Shakespeare's plays, actually my favorite, A Midsummer Night's Dream. There's sort of two worlds going on in the Midsummer Night's Dream. There's the world of the fairies and the goblins and the brownies and then there's the political military world of Theseus, the King Theseus, and his newly acquired Amazon bride Hippolyta, and they get married. In he seizes her by force. I wooed you with my sword, but I no, yes, I wooed you with my sword, but I will wed thee in a different key. Okay. Um, But anyway, at their marriage feast, which is sort of the central uh, event around which all of these other two worlds collide and lovers and things like that, uh, the clowns of your Shakespeare play, or most of them, have characters that fart and belch and mispronounce words and use wrong language, sort of like comic relief to satisfy the people in the crowd that just want goofy shit happening in their entertainment. But the clowns in Midsummer Night's Dream uh, answer an advertisement for people to submit plays, acts to entertain Theseus and Hippolyta on their wedding feast day, the celebration. So, and I guess they win. They submit their their play, and it's a version of the story of Pyramus and Thisbe, which in a sense is just same plot as Romeo and Juliet, really, you know. Uh, and it's a goofy thing, and showing them rehearsing out in the woods and everything. It's very, very funny. And we're introduced to the clown characters, Bottom and Snug the Joiner and uh, Peter Quince. Uh, but anyway, they get the gig, okay, and they their play is just buffoonery comic of errors. They're trying to do their best, but it's really, really shitty. Okay, and Hippolyta and Theseus are up on the platform, and Hippolyta. I mean, she's like an Amazon warrior. She's Xena, you know. She looks over at her new husband, you know, and says, "What the fuck is this?" You know, and she says, "Hippolyta, this is the silliest stuff that ever I heard." And Theseus says this: "The best of this kind are but shadows, and the worst are no worse if imagination amend them." That's sort of how I feel. I tell you this story many times, that I was attending a lecture at school. The It was the Monday seminar that was taught by Lee Strasberg himself. And the rest of the week, other method actors taught us. But Monday was Strasberg's. And he mentions the fact that if something truthful is going on inside the actor's soul, I guess you would say, anything truthful that the actor was currently mentally, emotionally connected to, and that was going on inside them, the audience themselves senses that truth and then projects that generic truth that they see there onto the specifics of the actor's character and the circumstances of the play. So the audience does all the work, just like Shakespeare said. And the worst are no worse if imagination amend them. It's the audience's imagination. Okay. There was a time when the term home theater meant the staging of an actual play in the parlor of one's own home. The vision harkens back to a quieter age before radio or television, to the genteel domesticity of Victorian little women in painted mustaches and brandishing paper swords from atop a piano bench pirate ship. A time when even grown-ups knew how to pretend and were not afraid to put on silly hats and be a king or a queen or a villain for an evening. Such magic penetrates deeper into our genetic history than the 19th century. All magic started as drama, and all drama started in the home. Now, I've read this section to you many times. It's from the now out of print book of mine called Homemade Magic. Someday, if the good people at Magical Omaha pick up the project again, they currently have the publishing rights to it. But that's beside the point. Constance and I have been turning our home into a theater since 1978. The OTO degree initiation ceremonies, the Gnostic masses, are fully costumed and elaborate affairs, sometimes requiring several rooms furnished with heavy custom-made pieces of equipment and paraphernalia. In 1982, we expanded our roles as magical impresarios and added the rights of Eleusis to our playbill. Eventually, we added our repertoire, The Rite of Earth, which forms the last section of this book, actually. But before we look at the rite itself, I'd like to offer some practical hints at how most anyone, how you can mount a rather elaborate drama ritual presentation in your own home or apartment. It's a lot of work, but it's also a lot of fun. And it is or can be magic of the highest order. Now, Crowley, before the rites of Eleusis, before the rite of Artemis, or any of Crowley's public performances of a dramatic ritual, before all of that, he and Layla Waddell, his girlfriend and AA student, his pal Victor Newberg, the poet, and not only that, but he was a great ecstatic dancer. I mean, he could dance himself into exhaustion, and just watching him, your own imagination amending his performance would send you into ecstatic rapture itself. It's wild to watch somebody dance themselves till they pass out. It's a great way to end the evening. Okay. But they were hanging out at their friend Commander Marston's house. And Commander Marston, forgive me, I don't know what he was in the military, but he was a fan of Crowley. And they had this shared interest in music and dance and theater as a means to alter the consciousness of the audience or the observer, which frankly happens every time you go to the movies. Your consciousness is altered. That's why Constance says, be careful what you're putting in there. you know, because I watch hideous things, on Netflix and stuff. And just as I'm falling asleep, there's screaming and yelling, and I sleep pretty well. Anyway, they were having dinner at Commander Marston's house, and Layla, who is a concert violinist, a virtuoso, and a composer, had her violin. And they had a nice dinner, and they're relaxing with wine or cognac or something afterwards. And in order to sort of sing for their supper, I believe it was Layla that volunteered to play a little something on the violin. Okay, they just had a big meal with close friends. They're talking about how primitive tom-tom music can force people into acts of sexual self-abuse, which was Commander Marston's specialty, I think. And Layla got up and played something. I'm sure Crowley has it in his diaries what it was. But everybody was so blissed out from the dinner and the cognac and the tom-toms. And they were so stoned. And the music was just totally rapturous. Everybody was just, this is the coolest thing I've ever heard in a living room. And isn't this is heaven. This is what heaven is like, okay? And Crowley just didn't fall gaga into that rapture. Part of him noticed that, shit, man, this has just triggered a full-blown mystical experience in all of us. It's cheaper and dope. This is real stuff. Our consciousness has been altered. And then he sort of seized on that and said, that was great. And it reminded him of a poem. I don't know if it was a poem of his or Shelley's or something, but it reminded him of a poem. And while they were sitting there just frying in that bliss of the after-dinner performance, Crowley turned the bliss up another notch with that poem. And then he knew he had something. He knew this is something that could reach people who had no interest in magic, no interest in Kabbalah, no interest in Enochian or in Hinduism. This is a way to get to everybody. And the wheels started turning. He said, this is exactly what they were shooting for at Aloysius. This is exactly what the mystery schools were doing with their dramas. There's the rites of Isis, the rites of Demeter. This is the key to the rites of Aloysius. And it affects objective, altered states of consciousness. And an altered state of consciousness is something that happens transdimensionally. In a sense, you are mutated forever. You're never the same, whether it feels like you are or not. Once you go there, that door is always open. And then Victor Newberg said, "Hey, well, you think you're high now? What's this? Hit it, Layla." And he had Layla play some ecstatic, probably Brahms, Hungarian something. And he danced himself around that little living room floor until he danced himself unconscious and fell on the ground, fell on the floor. And everybody just, wow, okay. They were very, very high. And Crowley knew he had something very important, the magic of dramatic ritual. And it's the easiest thing to do. If you have friends, maybe some of them are into magic or mysticism or tarot or Kabbalah or whatever you're interested in, but you have other friends too that could probably just care less about those things. But if you've got a half a dozen friends that you could feed for an evening and say, let's put on a little play. Let's do one act of Midsummer Night's Dream or something. Just print up the scripts, divvy up the parts. Our magical rites didn't start out as magical rites at all. In fact, they started out for us as an informal gathering of friends. One summer, we simply invited a dozen or so friends over to celebrate the summer solstice with a potluck dinner and a party out in our backyard. After everyone was sated and mellow, I gave each of our unsuspecting guests a script for Shakespeare's A Midsummer Night's Dream. I was working. I could print out anything I wanted at work while the boss was gone. I made the booklets of this delightful comedy by copying them from an old volume of Shakespeare that I had. And then I printed them at work and stapled them together. And not only that, but I went to the work of taking a yellow highlighter, and for each person, like Lysander, I would just highlight the Lysander part. I made it as bonehead easy as possible. So when I passed out the script, I said, here's Lysander's script, you're Lysander. Just read the highlighted section. Okay, so I had to do that with, I think it's 9 scripts in all that everybody needed one. Jean-Paul always played all the fairies. So we poured each actor another glass of wine and lit some torches and candles. Then I assigned each confused partier a part, and we were off. In short order, everyone had bitten the thespian bug, and we all discovered hidden talents of our friends that we never dreamed were there. The play was a roaring success. Everyone we insisted we do it again the following year. After this informal read-through production, we knew we could do even more with our wonderful friends, and for the next 12 years or so, we did quite a bit more. And in the book, let's see if we've got pictures here. There's Jean-Paul playing the son in The Rite of Saul. There's Constant. You can see he's just the teenage Jean-Paul. He's just thrilled to be drug into that. Okay. And there's Constance and our friend, the late David Crummer, in The Rite of Saturn. In our living room. That was in our living room. And from the right of Mars. That's in our living room. See that that framed charter in the background there? Okay. Anyway, that's what I'm going to leave you with today. Of course, I'm not going to read the whole chapter or anything else, but the old juices, sort of got flowing yesterday because we had a wonderful little gathering of OTO first degree initiates here at the house yesterday, and we discussed the OTO first degree initiation ceremony and sort of picked it apart in details so everybody could appreciate the brilliant nuances of that particular Crowley ritual that is one that is not publicly performed or even published. So anyway, that's it for this Monday morning. We have Monday night magic class tonight, and tonight we're working on Crowley's Book of Thoth and the Fool card. And I think I have to get the projector out. I'm going to project images on the wall or something. Anyway, I'll report back tomorrow. Until tomorrow, continue to be good to yourself and be good to each other. Do what thou wilt shall be the whole of the law. Love is the law. Love under will.